Howdy, and welcome to the Research Minute Podcast. I'm David Butler, your host. This podcast has its purpose to move university research from the campus into the community. Today, our guest is Jeremy Strayer from the Department of Mathematical Sciences at Middle Tennessee State University. Welcome, Jeremy, to the program.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Yeah.
So tell us. First of all, you're a math professor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think people will have a hard time understanding. I think everybody knows what math is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's done algebra and geometry, but what does a professor of math actually do besides teach students? What do you research, and what does that look like?
Yeah. So let me fill this in a little bit more. I'm a professor in the Department of Mathematical Sciences, but I have my training in mathematics education.
Okay.
So my research interests are in thinking deeply and doing research into the idea of how do people learn mathematics? What are the best ways that we can teach mathematics to help students understand at the deepest levels? So,
okay. As a math educator and researcher, how did you find your way into this field, or did you come out of the womb going, "Hey, I'm just waiting for enough years to get by to become a math education professor"?
That's right. Oh, well, I grew up in Southern Ohio in the Appalachia part of the state. In Portsmouth, right on the river. I had a typical 1980s small town upbringing, a Gen Xer, I loved football, played football, baseball, and basketball growing up. Had some excellent math teachers. I was always kind of interested in mathematics. Said I wanted to be an engineer because my dad was an engineer.
Well, that's a good reason to do so. Right.
That's right.
You become what you see.
That's right. And I ended up gravitating towards football and playing that exclusively. I was captain of the football team in high school. But I was a lineman, kind of a small lineman. I played center. And just kind of loved the technical aspects of like footwork and small movements, being a part of a team. We weren't very talented my senior year. In fact, the head coach, we had some really talented classes in front of us. So my senior year, the previous head coach left rather than to coach our team. So, but we were kind of a tenacious group. We were really committed to each other and committed to hard work. And so the assistant coach that took over said, "Hey, fellas, follow my plan and we can have success." And we did. My senior year, we had a young quarterback, a sophomore, and ended up having a winning season when no one thought we would win more than a couple of games.
I believe I've seen this movie 1 to 5 times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
and I was raised in Texas, so football is the religion.
Right.
So I believe this story has a consciousness beyond your experience into the public consciousness out there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we weren't quite Hoosiers.
Yes.
But so that's kind of ingrained in me a sense of, look, it kind of doesn't matter what they say about you. You continue to work hard. You do what you're passionate about. And you put 100% of your energies into it, and you'll find success at some level, right? We were 6-4 as our record, but years later, after we graduated, I was driving down the highway, and all of a sudden a car comes up passing us with a guy yelling out the window at us. And I thought, oh no, did I do something wrong? Are we going to end up in a fight or something? And it was my best friend from high school. It's going 6-4, baby, 6-4.
Oh, that is so funny. And the expectation was 0 and 10?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That's a big change.
Exactly. We went to church regularly, so there was you just loved everybody, and your neighbor and even your enemy. I think some of that was fed by, it was the Cold War. We watched Rocky IV, so it was about, it was a time where the Russians and the Americans, and can we all come together, that speech that Rocky gave
Dolph
at the
Lundgren
end.
One?
What's that?
Was that the Dolph Lundgren one?
Yeah, it was the one. Yeah, the big Russian fighter.
Yes. It couldn't be broken.
Yep, exactly.
I remember that.
So anyway, you put those sorts of things together. I had a real interest just to help other people. I liked math in school. So one of my favorite teachers in 6th grade was a math teacher. And then I had a great high school math teacher. So I loved math. I loved helping people out. And so that kind of led me into thinking, I want to be a math teacher. And maybe
you were the one that people came to before class that didn't have their homework done saying, Jeremy knows the answer.
That's right.
You were him.
Help me out. Help me out. Yeah.
And you also happen to be captain of the football team. And you were under center with the ball waiting for the the third hike, right?
Yeah.
So
That's right.
imagine you're all lined up. You're like, what are you thinking about? Differential equations. No. I've got
That's right.
2-on-1 or 1-on-1 in front of me.
Yes,
That's
no, that's
good.
right. Even on the way up to the line, the guard, one of the guys next to me was always like, Strayer, is my assignment this? We're like, yeah, you're good to go. So it's just kind of, I like teaching and helping, not necessarily telling other people what to do or think, but helping them get there themselves.
An ethic.
Mhm.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you left small town and went to college?
Yep, went to a small college, Asbury University
Oh,
in Wilmore, Kentucky.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
And what did you major in?
I majored in high school, like secondary education
Okay,
mathematics.
so you went to education.
Yeah.
Okay.
To teach high school.
Now, so you finished your undergraduate degree. Did you
Yep.
go into teaching,
So
or did you go straight to a graduate degree program?
Yeah, I wanted to. Like when I graduated from college, I was like, you know what? I've been a professional student for 13 years, including 13 years including kindergarten, and
Right.
then another 4 years.
Mhm.
I was done. I thought graduate school was for people who just wore white lab coats,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to do that. I liked people, I liked interacting, and so I thought, no, I'm not going to graduate school. I just want to go teach and coach. And my wife and I got married right after graduating, and my wife and I chose where to live before I had a job.
Oh, that's interesting. It's very un-Gen X of you.
Yes. Yes.
Gen X was wherever they send you, you go where the job is. That's how it works on Wall Street.
Yeah, that's right.
So where'd y'all choose?
So Mount Vernon, Ohio, small town.
yeah.
So she ended up having a job at a local university there, Mount Vernon Nazarene. I was looking for jobs, but I think I was kind of late to the game. So you'd think a math teacher would be in demand, but there just weren't any available at that time. I worked in high school just doing manual labor, tending brick masons and stuff like that, and working at a glass shop. And so I just hit the want ads. I had a bachelor's degree, but I was, doing roofing, painting roof with the aluminum paint, and I ended up tending a brick mason who was doing foundations for houses, and ended up packing boxes. I mean, it's like in a span of 2 months, I think I had 6 or 7 jobs because the job would dry up. And I'm looking again.
Cash flow is important.
Yes. So my wife was working at the university, and they were starting a Master's of Education program. And the dean she met my wife, that ran to each other in the bathroom, and said, "Hey, doesn't your husband have a bachelor's degree, and would he be interested in getting a Master's of Education? We've got a graduate assistant program where he would work and tuition's covered, and so I'm working these jobs, sweating like crazy. It was a hot summer that summer, and the first time my wife came home and told me about it, I said, "No, I'm done. I am done with schooling." And
I'd rather be a brick mason assistant and be a glass blower. I'd rather sweat than go to graduate school.
Yes. So that must have been towards the beginning of the summer, because did I mention it was a hot summer?
You did. Probably humid too.
Yes. And by the end of the summer, they had run into each other again, and the second time it sounded like maybe it would be a good option. At any rate, by the end of that summer, and with all kinds of jobs kind of falling through, I thought, you know what? I think I'm ready to jump in, and I'll try this Master's of Education thing. So
that's good. Actually, I worked before and during my undergraduate degree. I worked petrochemical construction.
Oh wow!
Out in Baytown in Houston.
Yeah.
And I've never been hottest in my life for one project we had to do next to a boiler.
Oh my!
Coldest in my life trying to stop oil from a barge from freezing during a Arctic clipper that came down, and everyone that was there said, "Stay in school. You don't want to do this for the rest of your life." I was like, trust me, I'm frozen and boiling. Trust me, though I had a very similar experience of, if there's an alternative, maybe that's a good path for me. Tell me about your graduate degree and how you started forming as your professional career from that experience.
Right. So there at Mount Vernon University, and part of that experience was I helped support computer. So since it was in education, I helped with the Mac lab, and I supported faculty members if they needed upgrades to their computers.
And those are Macintosh.
Apple.
The tall ones.
Oh, we had everything for the classic 2,
Yes,
like the tall
yes,
ones,
yes.
and you had to use this big long screwdriver to
Yes.
take it apart and get into the memory. Yeah, and we ended up by the end of my time there, we were using them as door stops to hold the door open.
Well, they're actually about the right size and weight for that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so I worked there doing that, but they also needed someone to adjunct and teach a course. And so I taught my first university course in how to use Microsoft Word, I think it was. So, and we started with, okay, if you have a mouse and you're holding it, the cord comes out the top.
Yes.
You know,
But that was Word, not Word Perfect.
That's right. I loved Word Perfect.
Yes, Corel had, yes. Reveal codes were my favorite.
Oh, that's,
yes.
I probably wrote Microsoft multiple emails of, could you please just have a reveal codes? That was the best. Anyway, I do remember it was during that time where I was introduced to the internet for the first time. Netscape 1.0 was the browser.
So in the corner you had the rocks falling as it was searching. No
That's
spinning
right.
anything. It was the asteroids falling to Earth, hopefully burning up.
But,
you know, as a Cold War kid, you had no idea because we had those apocalyptic movies that that showed up.
That's right. So I worked there, got my first teaching experience, and then one of the math professors got on a special assignment to work with the president of the university to collect data. She taught stats. And so they asked me if I could teach a couple of intro to statistics courses, and I did that. And then I must have done okay because they said, you know what, would you like to come on full time and teach a full load?
And this is while you're still in your degree?
Yeah, so I had finished my degree, and then it was like I was right in transition to, okay, what am I going to do next? And so they offered me, hey, you could stay on, you could work technology part-time and then teach part-time. So I think I did that maybe for a year.
Finished your doctorate?
Yeah.
What was your dissertation on?
So it was actually on a very early, it was on the classroom flip.
Can you explain to people what a flip classroom is?
Yeah, so the flip classroom.
Because they're still thinking, they're imagining these students on the ceiling here.
That's true. Yeah, the idea is take homework assignments where the students engage with the material on their own and kind of learn kind of like in the trenches. And that's usually done at home, and then you lecture during class to transmit information. So the classroom flip is to flip. Information transfer comes and where the practice with the ideas comes.
So you work on homework during class, and they read the material at home.
We worked together in small groups, so it wasn't just sitting there doing homework alone.
It sounds like study hall.
Yeah, it wasn't study hall. It was like, let's get together and engage with the ideas, which again was when I was a kid. I always wanted to know the whys and would drive my friends crazy. Sometimes they would be like, Strayer, stop it. Stop asking the questions.
You just need the answer.
Just accept it. Let's move on, you know? So in the classroom flip, you kind of struggle with the ideas in class. And then, my dissertation studied the classroom learning environment. And
and what did you learn about this flipped classroom?
Yeah, it was really, really important to have structure that made sense to the students. Because if you do something new and innovative and the students get the sense that they're being experimented on, that doesn't do so well for the learning environment. So just careful. I don't want to get into all the mumbo jumbo of the research technology, but it was basically like, look, dig into the literature, find out what sorts of learning environments really works well, and then think carefully about it, structure a really nice classroom that can leverage those things of, giving students an opportunity to get their thinking, how they're thinking about an idea on the table. And then you leverage the way students are thinking in order to move them forward just a little bit so that they can understand a little bit more deeply. Like that's really key for learning in an active learning classroom.
Right. But it has to be structured. This is not a free for all.
That's exactly right. I think that was the big takeaway from my dissertation was, other things kind of happened outside of work life that got us thinking about, well, maybe a move wouldn't be so bad. Everything was still up in the air, and I was home at my parents' place for Christmas and saw MTSU posted another position, and they were starting a PhD program in math and science education. And so I thought, you know what, this is really tailored. Like I really fit that. So I just threw my hat in the ring.
Right.
Didn't do a big search or anything that
Mhm.
year, and ended up getting an interview and was a good fit. And so I came on kind of early on as we were just starting our math and science education PhD program here.
And what year was that?
2010, 2011,
Okay.
around there. Yeah.
You've been here right about 15 years. So tell us about your research. So
Yeah.
you've been a professor here 15 years or so.
Mhm.
And so tell us what your research from your dissertation of the flipped classroom
Mhm.
and this learning style, and what are you researching now that just gets your passion?
So this is not going to surprise you. That there's this thing called mathematical knowledge for teaching. So like mathematical knowledge, that's just knowledge of math. So you think about, okay, what kind of knowledge do I need to know in order to get math problems right? So we could call that just kind of like generalized math knowledge, where
Okay.
you can solve problems and get the answers.
Okay.
But to be a teacher, you have to understand the mathematics in different ways. So not only do you have to have that general knowledge of how to get problems right, but you also have to have this specialized kind of knowledge that kind of only teachers need to know. Like,
Just in case you have a student named Jeremy that asks why,
is always
and you have to be
asking
able to
why.
answer that so
That's
he
right.
doesn't get dejected or feel lack of confidence in
This
you
is
if you
correct.
can't answer it.
This is correct.
So that's that you have to have that knowledge because of you. That's exactly why I asked it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All the fields that we work in try to apply the scientific method, approach scientifically. So we thought, okay, as a field, is there a way that we can break down that kind of specialized knowledge that you need to have and know to be a good teacher? So my field of mathematics education research has been trying to work on that problem. And so there are a few different models for how to do that, but one of them that I like to think of is this one where you've got the generalized knowledge, you've got the specialized knowledge, which is all of the different, and you mentioned this earlier, all of the different correct solution paths that you could take to an answer. And the solution path could look quite different depending on just how you're thinking and how your brain is wired.
Yes.
So a teacher needs to know those multiple solution paths, because if they're working with a student, they can identify, oh, you're thinking like this. I can help you as you go along that path. This other student may be thinking another different path.
Think about how people think a lot around math, because I have interacted in my lifetime with a large number of people who intuitively know an answer.
That comes up all the time in the classroom, where you'll have someone who just has really great instincts like that, and you'll ask them, how do you know? And that's a great teacher question for those, if anyone's listening who was going to be a teacher. Like, just asking students, how do you know, is a really powerful teaching question to ask. But
and the answer cannot be, I just do.
Right. You somehow have to, you got to build that relationship, that relational part of my upbringing of treating people well, caring for people and all that. You got to build that relational so that you can kind of you can press them a little bit and pull out answers when sometimes they don't want to give them to you. But yeah, I had an experience like that just last week when my sister was visiting from Arizona. This is going to be nerdy. I have a chalkboard in my kitchen.
Chalkboard?
A chalkboard.
Old school
chalkboard.
Do you have multicolored chalk or only white?
Multicolored.
Is it slate or is it the green?
It's real slate.
I love that. My first office, and I have whiteboards in every office. I put them up. My first office as a professor, the black slate chalkboard. Yes.
It's just a beautiful, and if you have really good chalk, it's tactile. It's great.
And I have
feel
to clean it every
write
day
on it.
too. Or they run a cell phone back then. But now I have to photograph stuff before I erase it. Oh, I'm there.
Yes.
I'm ready to nerd out with you.
Yes. I love it so much. And my
kids, in your kitchen.
And kind of, well, we just kind of have just a big open, well, we knocked out a wall and we just have one big open kind of living room and island area and kitchen. It's not huge, but it works. We've written a lot of math on that board over the years as my kids came up through. My son-in-law had asked, okay, like, when's my dad going to be twice as old as I am? And so I was like, oh, that's a good question. And then like, I'm thinking mathematically, could I generalize this so that could I end up having a formula where I put in maybe the year that somebody was born, and then it would tell me what year it would be where this would occur, where the parent is twice as old as the child. So we had investigated it and we graphed it, and they were asking questions about the graphs of lines and how would this work, and I'm like, oh, it's actually like parallel lines.
Where's the slope intercept?
Right, all this stuff. So I have it all written out on the board, and we've got the formula, we've got the general solution. And my sister, a couple weeks later, I hadn't cleaned it because I like seeing math on the board. And she said, oh, what's all that about? And I told her the question, and she says, oh, well, it would just be when the kid is as old as the parent, when the parent had the kid.
Yes. Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That's the answer. And then the question was, well, how do you know? And she's kind of one where I just see it,
Yes.
So I didn't go into full teacher mode and make it awkward.
But this is one of the examples where you got the correct answer both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Two different formulas. One was a 50% of whenever you're going to be there is when the kid was born, because that's year 0, rather than the algorithm you're thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious about this. So I've got a 13-year-old stepdaughter.
Yeah.
And I do homework with her. We homework every night, sit down on the couch, routine.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, there was, this kind of new math thing and this trend.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you get the answer. I care to see you do the process. But sometimes it was also, you have the right answer. If you didn't follow the process we gave you, it was wrong. Do you want to talk about these philosophies, methodologies, pedagogies that have come into the public school system at various states? And what are your thoughts about the right way?
This is a real sticky issue, especially when, your kids are coming home with homework that doesn't make any sense to you. I'll see some of the new math questions and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful, because there are all these opportunities that a parent who, doesn't have that experience would be like, that's not the way I did it. This is nuts,
Yes.
So I think for me, it's a constant negotiation of like, what's the goal here? What's the learning goal? So I think when you're learning math, there are two big things, like having conceptual understanding. Like math is about, one of my favorite definitions of math is it's the science of patterns or the science of structure. So math tools help us see the structure in things or the patterns in what we observe. So I think conceptual understanding those underlying concepts and why the structure is the way it is, that's a really important aspect of learning math. But then there's also what we call procedural fluency, which is like going through the procedure of getting the answer and doing it fluently and quickly and, confidently. So speed isn't always necessary for showing that you understand something, but kind of having some balance of both of those is really important. One thing that the research has shown over and over again over the last couple of decades is that if you start with the procedure, it's harder to get students to engage, to think more deeply about the underlying concepts, because they already know how to get the answer. Right. So it's just kind of like, well, I just know if I go through these steps, I'll get the answer and we can move on to whatever else I want to do. So we've said, and in a number of different ways that has come out, we should start with conceptual understanding and then move to procedural fluency from there. And so that's why some of the homework looks a little weird, is because they're trying to engage them in that underlying conceptual understanding. And that's probably those moments where they might say, it's okay if you don't get the right answer here. I'm just curious about how you're thinking, so that they can help tie those conceptuals, build that conceptual understanding. But then as you move forward, when at some point you have to pull the ripcord and say, okay, look, these are the underlying concepts. Yes. Please, we've given you opportunities to engage them. I hope you got them now. Now let's build that procedural fluency. And so that might be, if they're doing that sort of thing, that might be where they're like, no, let's get the answer, and it's going to be wrong if you don't get the answer, kind of thing. So it kind of depends on the goal. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time with me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very, very enjoyable hearing your story and some of the parallels that we both have from different places.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate being able to be here.
Excellent. I want to thank Jeremy Strayer from Middle Tennessee State University for joining us on the Research Minute podcast. Please stay tuned for additional episodes. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.